Picture an ordinary dinner. Comfortable chairs, familiar faces, easy conversation moving around the table. Someone makes a claim you privately disagree with. You open your mouth, and then, almost without deciding to, you soften the response. You nod. You find the part of what they said that you can agree with, and you offer that part back to them. The conversation continues. No friction, no discomfort. Everyone finishes the evening feeling good. And you drive home with the faint, nameless sense that something small was lost. That small thing is what this video is about. Teaching 1. The ledger that approval opens. Epictetus described a ledger that most people never examine, not a ledger of money or property, but of the self. Every time you act from your own judgment, from values that belong to you, you add something to that ledger. Every time you act from the desire to be received well by the people around you, something is subtracted. The arithmetic is quiet. It does not announce itself, but it runs constantly. He taught that the things which are truly yours, your judgments, your considered opinions, your chosen responses, cannot be damaged by outside events. They can only be surrendered from the inside. And the primary mechanism of that surrender is not weakness or cowardice in any dramatic sense. It is the daily, habitual, socially rewarded act of editing yourself to match the room. The man who changes his stated opinion when he feels the temperature in the conversation shift has not been conquered. He has defected, voluntarily, invisibly, to the expectations of people who will not remember the conversation by morning. Teaching 2. What the mask teaches your face. There is a process that Cato the Younger understood better than almost anyone in the ancient world. Cato was not loved in his political career. He was respected, often grudgingly, and resented with considerable intensity. He held positions that made him inconvenient. He refused the accommodations that would have made him more popular. He understood something precise. Every time a person modifies their expressed position to win approval, they are not simply performing. They are teaching themselves who they are. The mask, worn long enough, becomes instructive. It does not merely cover the face. It begins to train the face to match it. This is the subtle mechanism behind what Stoic philosophy identifies as the corruption of character by social hunger. It is not that the person becomes dishonest in one dramatic moment. It is that the accumulation of small adjustments, the softened opinion, the enthusiasm performed for an audience, the laughter at something that did not genuinely amuse, slowly rewires what the person believes they actually think and feel. After years of this, they sit in a quiet room and attempt to locate their actual opinion on something and find the signal difficult to separate from the noise of all the positions they have performed. Teaching 3. Status hunger in a pleasant disguise. The Stoics identified status hunger as one of the most corrosive forces in a human life, but they were also precise about its disguises. Status hunger does not always arrive as vanity or arrogance. Often it arrives dressed as warmth, as social ease, as the admirable quality of getting along with everyone, of being the person in the room nobody dislikes. Epictetus asked his students to examine the true motive beneath their social behavior. Not what they told others, not even what they told themselves, but what the behavior was actually in service of. Was the warmth genuine, or was the warmth a strategy, a method of securing a particular reception? This is a question that requires real courage to sit with, because the answer is rarely clean. The person who has organized their social life around being liked is not obviously doing something wrong. They are agreeable. They are easy to be with. They generate goodwill in every room they enter. But Epictetus would not be impressed. He would ask, what did you leave at the door in order to come in that way? What did you set down so that your hands would be free for the performance? Teaching 4. The arithmetic of character. Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius with a directness that the centuries have not diluted. Recede in te ipse. Return into yourself, not as an instruction toward solitude, but as a philosophical imperative toward honest self-encounter. The person who has spent years curating their social presentation has moved far from themselves without appearing to move at all. They have remained in every room, participated in every conversation, maintained every relationship, and yet, in the most essential Stoic sense, they have been absent, not physically, philosophically. Because the self that Seneca is calling back is not the body, that occupied the chair at the dinner table. It is the faculty of judgment, the hegemonikon, in Epictetus's language, the ruling part that makes genuine contact with the world possible. When that faculty is perpetually on loan to the approval of others, there is no one home in the only sense that matters. There is a social presence. There is a likable surface. There is, in the old observatory of the night sky, a light that looks real from a distance. But the source of that light is borrowed from somewhere else, and it goes dark the moment the audience does. Teaching 5, the return to your own position. The return does not require dramatic confrontation. It does not mean choosing disagreement for its own sake, or cultivating the cold abrasiveness of someone who has decided that social niceties are beneath them. Cato was not cold. He was specific. He was the person in the room who said, precisely and without performance, what he actually thought, and then remained steady inside that position regardless of how it was received. That is what Epictetus is pointing toward. Not the performance of independence, which is just another audience-facing act, but the quiet, unremarkable, daily practice of noticing what you actually think before you decide what to say. It begins in the small moments, the dinner table, the meeting room, the casual conversation where an easy nod would cost nothing except the small further erosion of the self. It begins with the pause between the stimulus and the response. That gap Epictetus described as the only territory that is genuinely yours. Inside that pause, the question is simple. Not, what does this room want from me? But what do I actually think? The person who can hold that question with honesty, who can wait inside it without rushing toward whatever answer produces the warmest reception, that person is not socially difficult. They are, in the Stoic sense, philosophically present. They are someone who can actually be known, because they have not replaced themselves with a performance that is always slightly better calibrated to the audience than to the truth. Status, ultimately, is external. It is assigned by others, maintained by others, and can be withdrawn by others at any moment without your consent. The Stoics placed it firmly in the category of things that are not up to you, valuable as a secondary consideration, catastrophic as a primary one. What is up to you is something far more durable. The character that remains after the dinner is over, after the room has gone home, after the approval is no longer available to borrow against. Epictetus asked his students to think about the ledger, not the running tally of how they were received, but the internal account of how consistently they had acted from their own genuine center. That ledger, unlike the social one, cannot be affected by anyone else's opinion of you. It can only be written by you in the moments when you choose the honest position over the comfortable one, the genuine response over the polished one, the face over the mask. The ledger is always open, and every ordinary conversation is an entry. If this moved you, comment "The Citadel holds" below. It is our sign that you carry the philosophy with you. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.